Hello, welcome, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Kaz, your captain for the evening, taking you on another adventure in Episode 2, Part 4 of the Fighter Jet Roundtable Tournament. Today's part features the last new craft of Episode 2, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and zoom on into the roundtable and see what new craft we have for you all today. So here we are on this side with the D8 Spiteful, sent in by none other than the legendary Reverend Jellybeans, a member of Team Masters, along with myself for Fighter Jet Showdown Season 5. I could tell you a bit about this craft just by reading from its description, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, presenting the newest in the illustrious DT series, the D8 Spiteful. Being a drone, this craft is unhindered by petty concepts like self-restraint and mercy. Instead, the drone is equipped with the most sophisticated machine spirit yet imbued within a craft of the DT series, possessing a contemplation capacity of 2.6 kilobrains. As such, it is able to conceive 3.2 times more reasons to despise its opposition in a fraction of the time of the machine spirit of the DT-7 Mutilator. Indeed, its hatred for all other sentient life is so searingly hot, our engineers have in fact devised a method of channeling it straight into the engines to increase specific output. This intelligence was then bound to a tried and true airframe to ensure maximum survivability and agility, and all at the cost of no more than 52 parts. Finally, being armed with two 30mm revolver cannons and four, 6 Sidewinder missiles apiece, it has ample firepower to remove any craft from the skies it deems unworthy of being there, which is to say, all craft that aren't the DT-8. So, let's take a little bit of a closer look at this drone. We have two drones for you today, not just the Spiteful here. As you can see, it is in fact loaded with 6 Sidewinder missiles, 2 30mm cannons, looks like they are the Mausers, and it is powered by 2 NMB WS-10B turbo engines. These are specifically designed to be lightweight engines with a lot of power at the lower altitudes and for high acceleration. They are very, very interesting engines, and I have yet to really see any craft use them to their full capability. Whether or not this little demon is able to do that, well, I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Anyway, I think that's enough time spent in the admiration of the DT-8 Spiteful. Let's go ahead and get on to the other side and see what this craft will be fighting today.
Roll, fight the power!
And over here we have the GF9 S-Stock, sent in by none other than the infamous Geoplex. Geoplex has been a relative newcomer on the field of creating fighter aircraft, and has gone through many changes and many learning curves as he got to the point he is now. As it stands, this craft has no description. In fact, almost every aspect of the craft was wrapped in spoiler tags on the Discord, trying to hide its specifics. Not that it's anything that a couple clicks couldn't solve, but either way, it's safe to say that this craft was wrapped in secrecy. And when you take a look at it, it's fairly easy to see why. After all, this is an incredibly tiny craft. I mean, the Spiteful is already small, but then you look over here at the S-Stock, and it's pretty easy to see just how tiny this craft is. In fact, any tinier, it might as well just be a UAV. I mean, they're drones, so I guess they're already a UAV. But, continuing on, 6 Sidewinder missiles, as is the norm. They are the standard AIM-9 Sidewinders. No AIM-9Xs here. Powered by 2 Tiger afterburning turbofan engines. This is a bit of an amusing choice, actually. I haven't actually seen anybody use the Tigers by themselves. They've always been mixed with something, although when you have a craft that's this light, well, it doesn't need a whole lot. You can see that it does, this isn't much for defense, which means I'm imagining if the Spiteful manages to get on the tail of this thing, light it up with those 30 cals, or, pardon me, 30 millimeters, big difference there, they should be able to really shred this poor thing. It is only carrying 220 millimeters. It should be able to carry another one. Really wondering why they made that choice. I mean, I suppose when things are that light, well, you know, I guess if you're really trying to cut down, but the extra firepower would certainly not be missed. Either way, I think it's time we get these aircraft into the sky and see what they're made of. Don't you? I do. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Get back to the watchtower and get these babies into the air. So here we are for round one. Let's go ahead and get these craft into the sky. Almost immediately, you can see the Spiteful taking off with those engines. Meanwhile, the S-stocks are taking a little longer to get into the air. Could be due to the fact that Spitefuls ramp up in power a little more quickly. You can hear the S-stocks switching over into afterburner mode. They are awfully low to the terrain over there. Hopefully that won't kick them in the butt. So now, with that, the competition is starting. It's like, you've got missiles away, AIM-9s streaking in from the S-stocks. Seem like duds, though, hitting nothing. Spitefuls deciding that they don't need any missiles to hit their targets, they're just going to throw one of them into the ground. More AIM-9s coming in. I imagine this is mostly going to be a gunfight, so let's go ahead and zoom on in and see if that's true. S-stocks are indeed fast, but the Spitefuls managing to keep up, and just as anticipated, decimating them with those 30 millimeter guns. The reason I'm anticipating this to be much more of a gunfight is due to the fact that, as I say that, not sure if that was friendly fire or not. However, I will say I believe this is going to be mostly a gunfight. Ooh, it looks like this one has indeed taken some damage. Not sure if it was from a gun or from a missile. But clearly, it doesn't need that nose cone to continue to fly. Obviously held together by anger and hatred for its enemy craft. As is custom with all of Rev's designs. And just like that, Spiteful has unleashed a can of spite all over its enemy. Either way, let's go ahead and get into round two. And here we have returned to the watchtower for round two. Let's hope these two aircraft can really mix it up. I'd love to see round three, but Spitefuls look very jazzed, especially that one. A little dance there. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get them into the air and see how this turns out, shall we? So, as I was saying before, honestly, I think this is going to turn mostly into a gunfight because both craft don't tend to have very high heat signatures. And the higher the heat signature, the more effective the missiles tend to be at tracking them. Now, of course, that doesn't mean it's set in stone, but you never know. Also, it looks like the S-stocks have split up. For some reason, I don't know why. And that one's getting awfully close to the ground. Okay. And they're definitely quite far enough away there. There we go. All right. Now it's time to see some fun. As the craft slowly make their way toward one another. Yes, stocks look like they have the advantage of speed initially. This one racing in by itself, headlong into a couple of AIM-9s that seem to have just whizzed on by. And with that, we're off. Let's see if this second S-stock over here is trying to do its thing. Looks like it is. It's so tiny, the camera's having issues. There we go. Missile countering missile. Ooh! And that's a missile kill. Let's go to the spiteful over here. Maybe we'll get it to a 1v1. Woo! Zippy on that missile. 30 mils lighting up the remaining S-stock. Spiteful just hanging on the tail. It was a very angry little airplane. And again, that is to be expected of most of Rev's designs. After all, I have a feeling he just slowly condenses his general rage and hatred toward humanity and then manages to funnel it into each one of his aircraft. That's my theory, anyway. As a fellow member of Team Masters, I do know that Rev is quite good at what he does, and his craft are definitely showing that today. S-stock, however, is not willing to go down without putting up a fight, and even 2v1, it's still managed to hold on quite well. And of course, there goes Rev, doing what he does best, making me look bad. And just like that, with a snap of its deadly, deadly fingers, the DT-8 Spiteful will be going on to continue in the semifinals and finals, perhaps. This is certainly a deadly aircraft. Either way, that's gonna basically do it for me. With the Spiteful winning, this is certainly going to be interesting. So, I've been Kaz. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Fighter Jet Roundtable Tournament. I'll see you next time.